Okay, we've covered a few types of sketching, and we're going to cover the last type that we'll do hand sketching on. Now, we did some isometric sketching. In the isometric, you picked a front, therefore you had a right and a top by default. So we've done several isometric sketches. Here's a little example of journaling. After isometric, I did some block it oblique sketches. We had two types, cavalier, cabinet. We only worked on the cabinet, but there are two types. And so here are my cabinet, oblique sketches, and a little bit of journaling going on. Now, we're going to work on multi-view drawing now. And this is just a little illustration of why we have multi-views. Here we have three rectangles that are a view of an object. When you look at what the view of the object is, they all three are obviously very different, but they would have the same, in this case, top view. So we need multi-views in order to completely see an object. Down here, I'm doing block it multi-views again, and here's a major deal right here. When you do a multi-view, your paper is kind of divided into four spots, and later on they'll get more complicated, but you're going to have the front in the lower left, the front view, the right view in the lower right, the top view up there in the upper left, and then you're going to do an oblique sketch in the upper right to kind of tap it off. So it looks like this, and we're adding one thing to this. We're dimensioning. So I have the dimensions of the different sides in here. And again, so here is a front view, a top view, a right view, and then there's an oblique view to kind of round it off and give you a good picture of what it's like. So I have decided, there's a decision to make about this time. How big are you going to 3D print your object, your cubit? And on this one, I've decided on my block it that I'm going to make kind of the 1/2 inch be my basic unit that we're going to go with. Now you can make a smaller one or a larger one, but that's what my decision was for mine. So over here again, we have one of the block it pieces with a front, a top, a right, and then an oblique. Moving through them, this was piece B, and what I called piece C and D, and some of them, they look very, very similar from different views. So when there is a face that's set back, then you do need to draw a line there. So what I'm going to do for the last one is quickly draw. This would be piece F, which is this piece right here. So when I go to draw this, I'm going to draw, this was my front. So my front view. My front view looks like that. So therefore, my right view looks like this. So my right view, when I go straight across, it's important I go straight across so I keep the same height going on. My right view is, I'm kind of sloppy, but my right view is this. What I want you to notice is this translated, we say, straight across like that. Likewise, so this is this view. My top view then becomes this. My top view, I'm going to go straight up, and there's a face set back a ways there. And this becomes my top view. The last thing that's left is I'm going to do a kind of running off the page with it, but I'm going to do a quick oblique here. How did I do? And then, like always, I do some shading and just to kind of give one more idea. Now, the reason you do this is just so that somebody would be able to take your drawing and fabricate the piece. This is going to be you in this case. So the last thing that would be left to do would be some dimensioning. This would be 1.5 inches because I chose each one of these to be a 1/2 inch. This one would be a 1/2 inch. I don't have to over dimension, but I got to think about it as I'm looking at it. This is 1.5. So if I dimensioned this right there as a 1 inch, that not only dimensions that, it also dimensions this, because this is slid. This is just the same view slid up. Because this is 1.5 and this is 1, this has to be a 1/2 inch to add up to the same as that. So if I go back here, I don't think I've denoted where a 1/2 inch is high. This is already covered up there. Whoa, wait a minute. I better cover that by going at 1.5. The height, overall height of it, I would cover if I simply tag in another 1/2 inch there. And I have to think about it for a minute, but I don't know if I have a thickness up here. I think I'm fairly dimensioned. So that kind of wraps up what I'm going to do with this page. And so now I'll go ahead and just kind of do that, because that leaves it that way. And so I'm done with this page. So I'd sign it, and I'll have my lab partner sign it here. There she is. And that wraps up that page. And that would be our last type of hand sketching we're going to do for now. It's a multi-view. It just allows somebody to make the piece from all angles.